All right, that's different, and I'll tell you why. There is a difference between humane slaughter of domestic stock raised for food and taking an animal and torturing a noble beast until it can no longer think in any rational manner, tormenting it and then killing it. That is called torture.
Right.
You know, there's not a religion on earth that supports the torture of animals. You know that.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm very clear on it. I've been against bullfighting for a very long time. I don't know what's noble about it. And I'd like somebody to please explain it to me. I mean, okay, my mind is made up. That is true. But I'm sure there are people who love it. As the man 2 callers ago said, he's done it, and he thinks it's very noble. I'd like to know what's noble about torturing an animal. I don't understand it. Okay, let's put it to you this way. Is it a fair fight? Well, you could say, okay, the bull is big. It's 2,000 pounds or more. It has 2 horns, which are equal to a sword, 2 swords. So where is the advantage in the man standing there with the red cape? Well, let's look at that. The animal is first warmed up by picadors who come out and torture the animal to provoke it by sticking barbed, hooked sticks into the flesh of the animal until it can no longer stand the pain. And it is in such agony from the pain of the picadors that it starts charging blindly out of frustration and rage. You consider that to be noble? I consider that to be torture, and I think bullfighting should be banned around the world, in my opinion. I'll take your opinion, whatever you want on that, or Obama torturing the presidency. New York City, Dan, WOR, go ahead, please.
Yes, hi, Dr. Savage. Before my comment about Obama and the woman's rear, I just want to say that you have changed my life for the better.
All right, and
the reason for that is because after a long day of mundane working on my way home, you make me think about life. You make me think about the afterlife.
All right, that's good. I'm a Renaissance man. I've been around. I have higher education. I've, done a lot of things, and I have a gift to be able to project that for people, and I appreciate it when I reach people such as yourself. But we disagree, apparently, on Obama staring at the young girls behind.
Yes, well, the thing is, I saw this on Drudge last night, and I see why they're making a big deal out of it, because it's like, oh, the president got caught looking at a woman's behind, but so what? So he got caught,
Well, let's talk. When I first saw the picture last night at approximately this time last night, or a little later, I was the first one on the radio to say, well, at least he's human. Remember, were you listening last night?
Yes, I was.
My first reaction was, big deal, at least he's a human being. Thank God he wasn't looking at a boy. I said that, okay? I said, at least we've got something to look forward to with Obama. At least he has normal impulses. That's the first thing I said, Dan. But on further reflection, I think it shows a lack of self-control, number one. And you can argue that no one can argue that it diminishes the presidency to see a president. Even Bill Clinton wouldn't have been seen staring at someone's behind. Bill Clinton was discreet enough to do his dirty work in the Lincoln bedroom. He didn't do it in public. You got to hand Bill Clinton that. He was a cornball, a horn dog, whatever. But whatever he did quietly, and whether it was in the White House toilet or in the Lincoln bedroom. But this one couldn't control himself for a minute. He has to be seen ogling. What was it? He was goofing around with that dirtbag Frenchman Sarkozy and looking at girls' behinds like ordinary guys at a ball game. It just shows you the trouble we're in the Western Hemisphere. You got to say to yourself, let's look at this from the point of view of a Muslim who is very religious, not fanatic, but very, very Orthodox Muslim, very proper, like an Orthodox Christian or an Orthodox Jew. Let's start with that. What they look at when they see this is decadence and a Western civilization that's not worthy of respect. That's what I'm getting at, Dan. I cannot imagine a Muslim leader staring at a girl's behind at a conference. Let me put it that way. I think he'd lose his position. I think they'd throw him out of office for having disrespected both the religion and the office that he represented. That's what I'm getting at. Thanks for the call. Think about what I just said to you. In other words, there's nothing inherently perverse in a man looking at a woman's derriere as she goes by. Most ordinary men do it. But a president is not ordinary. He's not supposed to be, and he's supposed to have greater self-control than an ordinary man. He's not supposed to have his head swiveling around every time a pretty girl goes by. Why? Well, I'll let you figure out why. So that's my opinion. I wouldn't raise this to the level of, a nuclear war, but all right, that's all. So we got two things to talk about. Bullfighting and bull something or else, whatever. Mississippi Bob, welcome to the Savage Nation.
Hey, Michael, I saw my first bullfight back in the early days of satellite, back in the mid-'80s when the big satellite dishes came out and you could intercept shows from Mexico, and I was horrified. Like you described earlier, you got these guys or the matador himself jabbing this poor animal with these colorful barbs, and, it could be 6 or 8 or 10 of them dangling out of his back. The bull's bleeding.
Right, and those barbs of the picador are meant to enrage the animal to the point of madness.
Well, and I saw that because when the bull finally got, ticked off and charged the matador whips out a sword and stabs the bull. And then the bull still...
Well, that's the object. In other words, the picadors torment the animal. The animal becomes so enraged from pain that it starts charging blindly. It can no longer even, I hate to use the word think, but it no longer has its ordinary bearings about it. It can't think as a normal bull would. It starts to react to the pain. You see what I'm getting at? So it's a setup from the beginning. I don't think people understand this.
Well, it's brutal, and I saw that bull die right there in the pen, and when the matador stabbed the bull with the sword, the crowd goes crazy. 80,000 people. Yeah, I just didn't understand it.
Well, now you understand that that provokes in people certain behaviors towards other human beings that are not very wise. Okay, I agree with you on that. That's all. We can move on from the bulls if you want. Actually, I'm getting a lot of callers on bulls. Let's go to a woman named Carolyn calling the Savage Nation from Bakersfield, California on Rock and Roll Friday. Carolyn, your opinion on bullfights, please.
Yes, I agree with you. I think it's a terrible sport. I lived in Portugal for 1 year, and I attended a bullfight there, and it was the worst thing I've ever seen. The bullfighter is on horseback, and he is dressed up in an extravagant outfit, feathers in his cap, and he kills the bull, but they don't do it in front of you. They just keep throwing the spear at him, and then when it's toward the end of the life of the bull, a whole group of Portuguese gentlemen dressed in these different little outfits, there was probably 10 of them, went running out there and attacked the bull. They jumped on him. They hung on his horns. They were pulling his tail. It was just terrible.
You mean as the bull was dying, they were torturing it further?
Yes, they were torturing it further. This was when the bullfighter was done. A group of about 10 Portuguese.
Oh, how horrible! And what? Then they cut off the ears and the genitals?
No, I didn't see him do that. They take him off the...
Oh, how civilized of them. Well, let us say that was very civil of them not to mutilate the animal after it was dead. So there it is. It sounds like you were really affected by it. You sound like you're very emotional about it right now.
Well, I'm just emotional because I'm talking to you. Anyway, you have a great
Why is the... All right, thanks for the call. Read coverage of Britain's ban of Michael Savage. MichaelSavage.com is the website. There's a couple other stories I'd like to point out. There's a man named Geert Wilders from the Netherlands, the Dutch Party for Freedom led by Geert Wilders. Now, Geert Wilders has very strong views on Islam. He says the Muslims are taking over Europe and they have to be stopped. As a result, he was banned in the United Kingdom. They didn't let him into their fine nation of Britain. Well, right now, his party is leading both of the nation's major opinion polls. He may be the next prime minister of Holland. Can you believe this? So, in other words, under the surface, there's a different Holland, just as under the surface there's a different America. You see, that's the whole point. 1-800-449-8255. My connections are being lost by the second. I have engineers fiddling with things. I'll be right back. Borders, language, and culture. You care about these things. I tell you why they're important. The Savage Nation, weekdays 3 till 7 on Talk 910 KNEW. This is the Savage Nation. We're talking about, I guess, two topics have excited the airwaves on the Savage Nation today. One is bullfighting, because someone died at the running of the bulls in Pamplona, which was popularized by Ernest Hemingway. in The Sun Also Rises, and I am saying that ever since I've seen bullfighting, I have been against it because I don't believe in animal torture. I believe in the humane killing of animals for food, whether it be through hunting in a single shot. I mean, when a hunter goes out, a hunter doesn't go out to torture an animal. He goes out to get a shot and kill the animal if he's going to use it for food. I don't think there's a culture on earth that takes pleasure in torturing animals or encourages it. I don't understand that. And I don't think there is. I think all of the cultures of the earth teach their people not to torture animals. They consider them innocent creatures. In fact, I remember when I studied very briefly Native American law, there were certain rituals about the slaughter of animals that were conducted in order to maintain the dignity of the animal and the dignity of the hunter. And likewise, on the other side of the coin, during the days of the Wild West, after the trains were put out west and the tracks were laid down,